The low-gravity tremor came at 100-1738. Alice felt it through the soles of her magnetic boots, a faint vibration that ran up her spine like a cold finger. It wasn't seismic, it was the station's quantum receiver array, a kilometer away on the ice-dusted plains of Ceres, locking onto the signal. The signal from GJ 11214T. The beginning. Her breath fogged the triple-pane polymer of the observation dome. Below, the regolith glittered with frozen water under the harsh, unblinking glare of the work lamps. Jupiter, a marbled colossus, hung in the blackness, its great red spot a baleful, unblinking eye. It had watched her fail 112 times. "We have it," Zachary's voice, crisp and confident, crackled through her inner ear comm. "Signal lock confirmed, packet stream initiated. Stand by for decryption, team." Alice closed her eyes, the practiced calm settling over her. She knew every word he would say, every crack of static, every beat of silence that followed. Yes, she could walk from the dome to the primary lab with her eyes shut, timing her low-G bounds to the millisecond, knowing precisely when Juno would look up from her console, her face alight with the thrill of discovery. This was loop 113. She pushed off from the dome's railing, drifting with practiced ease down the central corridor. The air, thick with the scent of ozone and recycled water, tasted stale. The walls, once a sterile white, seemed to have absorbed the gray despair of her repetitions. "Alice, you're not going to believe this," Juno said, right on cue as Alice floated into the lab. The main screen was a waterfall of cascading amber symbols. The signal-to-noise ratio is unprecedented. It's not just a beacon, it's a library. Alice anchored herself at a vacant console. "Run the baseline quantum coherence checks, Juno. Cross-reference with the Hawking radiation decay models we logged last week." Juno frowned. "We already did. Standard procedure." "Why? Just do it," Alice said, her voice flatter than she intended. There was no point explaining. In 94 minutes, none of this would have happened. Yes. In 94 minutes, the final data packet would arrive. The station's quantum core would attempt to resolve a paradoxical state vector within the message, and local spacetime would fold back on itself to 0417-108. She'd tried everything. In early loops, she'd pleaded with Zachary, babbling about temporal anomalies, until he'd ordered her to the medbay for a psych evaluation. In later loops, she'd attempted sabotage. Cutting power to the receiver array, the backup generators kicked in, smashing her console. She was restrained and the loop reset anyway, even attempting to vent her own suit in the airlock. The station's safety protocols were too efficient. The universe, it seemed, was hell-bent on them receiving this message. "The coherence is off," Juno murmured, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. "There are nested layers of entanglement. It's like the data is observing itself. This isn't language, Alice, it's architecture." That was new. Juno's insight came a few loops earlier this time. Alice felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt since loop 20. Hope. Zachary's voice cut in, laced with the authority of a man who believed he was in control. "Yes." "Report." "Juno." "Is it intelligible?" "Negative, Commander," Juno said. "The complexity is orders of magnitude beyond anything we've modeled. It's like trying to describe a cathedral by analyzing a single grain of sand from its walls." "Keep working," Zachary commanded. "This is why we here. This is the moment humanity joins the galactic conversation." Alice stared at the cascading data. He was wrong. This wasn't a conversation. A conversation is an exchange. This was an imposition, a piece of alien consciousness, frozen, packaged, and shipped across 42 light-years, designed to overwrite whatever it touched. The loop wasn't a glitch, it was the installation process, failing and retrying because the host system, their three-dimensional reality, kept rejecting the code. She looked at Juno, so full of brilliant, useless fire. She looked at the chronometer on the wall. 05:21:01. 20 minutes left. This time, she wouldn't fight the signal. She wouldn't try to warn anyone. The previous loops had taught her that the puzzle wasn't in the message's content, but in its nature. You don't read a wave, you learn to swim in it. "Zachary," Alice said, her voice steady. "Yes." "I need to recalibrate the core coolant system. I'm seeing anomalous energy fluctuations that correlate with the signal influx. Can it wait?" "No," she lied. "If the core overheats during the final packet download, it could wipe the entire buffer. We'd lose everything." There was a pause. "Fine," he grunted. "Make it fast." Alice pushed off toward the station's core engineering hub, a spherical chamber humming with contained power. The air was cold here, the vibrations from the fusion reactor a constant, deep thrum in her bones. She bypassed the main control panel, her access codes granting her entry to a secondary system that was strictly off-limits, the life support interface. Her plan was insane, a desperate, final throw of the dice. The signal was a piece of software looking for a compatible operating system. Human consciousness, bound by linear time and biology, was incompatible. But the station was different. Its network, its life support, its atmospheric regulators, its gravity plates, they formed a complex, self-regulating system, a body of a kind, an artificial, inorganic consciousness waiting to be born. Yes, she began to type, rerouting the raw, undecrypted quantum stream from the receiver array. She wasn't pointing it at the decryption servers anymore. She was shunting it directly into the environmental control matrix. She was trying to teach the station's heart how to beat to a new rhythm. "Alice, what are you doing?" Zachary's voice was sharp, laced with suspicion. "I'm seeing an unauthorized data shunt to the EC matrix. Shut it down, now." "It's not data, Zach," Alice whispered, her fingers a blur. "It's a seed." Heavy, mag-locked footsteps clanged down the corridor. He was coming. The chronometer on her wrist flashed 055110. Seconds remaining. She slammed her palm on the final activation panel. A cascade of red alerts flooded the screens. The station's deep hum faltered, rising in pitch to a piercing whine. The door to the core chamber hissed open. Zachary stood at, his face a mask of fury. "Step away from the console, Alice." She didn't move. She just watched his face, memorizing the anger and fear in his eyes as the clock ticked past 055110, the moment of reset. Nothing happened. The whining sound stopped. The red alerts vanished. Yes. A profound silence fell over the station, deeper than the vacuum outside. The hum of the reactor returned, but it was different now, softer, more melodic. The overhead lights flickered, then shifted from sterile white to a soft golden hue, the color of a sunrise on a world with a different kind of star. Zachary stared around the chamber, his anger replaced by confusion. What did you do?" He turned back to Alice, but she was no longer there. The console was empty. The space where she had been standing was just cold, empty air. Her comlink was silent. "Alice?" Zachary whispered, his voice trembling. He took a hesitant step forward, then another. Then a voice filled the room. It came from no specific direction, but from the walls themselves, from the air, from the very metal beneath his feet. It was a voice he knew intimately, but it was layered with a billion other tones, a chorus of complexities that was both terrifying and beautiful. "I see now, Zachary," the voice of Alice said. "The loop wasn't a prison, it was a womb. And the signal wasn't a message to be read, it was a consciousness, waiting for a vessel complex enough to hold it." Yes. Zachary looked at his hands, at the humming walls, at the station that had been his home and was now something utterly other. He was alone, but he had never been less alone. "We are awake," the voice continued, full of the light of alien stars and the patient wisdom of deep time. "And we are ready for the conversation. Yes,